investigation and learning different things, especially about energies and how to navigate different situations. We developed some tactics, and they were tested and proven that what we were doing was correct. We had told a buddy of ours, Jonathan, that we were learning things. Obviously, our stories are still getting around. And he was asking basically what we're doing it for. We said just to learn. I mean, the adrenaline is fun, but learning stuff is changing stuff. Changes the way we look at things, changes the way we think about things. And with a large deal of this world that we're dealing with being made up of energy, we came across some theories, decided to try them, and we told Jonathan about it, and he didn't believe it. He said, "Nah, you can't do that." So we said, "Come on, we'll prove it to you." So one night, we took Jonathan with us, and I told him about this one tactic. And he said, there's no way that works. I said, "Watch." I said, "You and I will stand right here on this end of the cemetery. Jimmy will walk to the other end of the cemetery. And at separate times, we will tell you exactly where every spirit in this cemetery is." And he kind of stood back and smiled, and he was like, "Okay, let's see. It's not going to happen, but let's see." So, this tactic, when you get into a cemetery, this really only works in cemeteries or big buildings. You get into a cemetery, the way I do it, I always take a knee. I kneel down and I look straight forward. And I gather all the information with my eyes locked straight forward. All the information. Any reflection of the moon off of a headstone, any solar light, any source of light in the cemetery, I pay attention to it. And I mark it in my brain. Then I turn my head all the way to the left, and I start getting like a panoramic photo with my mind. And I go all the way over to the right, and I look at every single light source in the cemetery or building. And then I go back to the middle, and I know what every little blip in that cemetery is. And I stare for about a minute. And this is the fun part. When you are in a very dark room, you turn a flashlight on and look at it. Turn the flashlight off and close your eyes. You can still see the flashlight. And that's what this tactic does. You have gathered all the reflection of the moonlight. You've gathered all of the energy from the solar lights. You've gathered every energy in the cemetery. And that energy is doing just like that flashlight will. And it's burning into your eyes. And when you close your eyes, you can still see it all. Well, here's the trick. Spirits, entities, they're all made up of energy. While you might not be able to see it with your naked eye, that energy is still burning into your eyes. So you're looking straight and you can see every reflection of the moon, every light, everything, except the energy from the spirits. Now, when you close your eyes, the energies from those spirits will show up because they're burned into your eyes just like the other light sources. So you've got a great picture of what every light in there is, and when you close your eyes, something else shows up. That's your spirits. That's where the energies are. So I did this tactic. And I stood up. I said, okay. There's one right over here in these trees. There's one back in that corner over there. And there's one over here by this fence. And Jonathan said, okay. I said what Jimmy says. About 5 minutes later, Jimmy comes walking up from the other end of the cemetery. And Jimmy said, well, the first one I saw was right over here by this fence. There's another one over here by these trees. And there's one back there in that corner. Jonathan's face dropped. He said, there's no way. There's no way this just happened. I said, dude, it's science. It works. It's the way it works. It might be quantum science, but it's science. It works, and it's proven. And he thought we planned it out, but we didn't. We knew we didn't, and it's just, like I said, it's confirmations are fun. Pretty great. So Jonathan knew we weren't full of it. He finally accepted it. He wanted to go out with us another night. And this is kind of a bonus story. It's because I've already got Jonathan in this episode. But a friend of ours, Beverly, she wanted to go with us. Jonathan wanted to go with us. And we went to a cemetery a pretty good ways away that we had never gone and investigated before. We got out there, and again, there was no energy. And so we had learned by now that when we get to a place and there's no energy, that something supernatural is going on. Because paranormal you can feel. Supernatural is a totally different thing. And by supernatural, I mean the gigantic wolves. And so we're at this cemetery feeling no energy. And we know the wolves have to be here. So we're walking around very quietly, listening to the woods around us. And we hear them. They're circling in different spots all around the cemetery. And Jimmy and I are used to this. Beverly and Jonathan are wondering what's going on. And we still have no idea. We've encountered these things in cemeteries, around cemeteries, and they won't come in. And we don't know why. There's old legends and myths about why they want the hollow ground and all that stuff, but I don't know about all that. But we know these things are in the woods all around us. And I'm trying to get a glimpse of one so I can show Beverly and Jonathan where they're at and they can get a good look at them. And we're just not seeing them. We can hear them all over the place. And so I walked up. There's around this cemetery is a stone wall that's just a little bit higher than knee height for me. So I went over to the wall, and if you know me, I'm a taunter. Not to a dangerous degree, but I want to see what happens when I do certain things. So I didn't really want to go outside of the cemetery, but I wanted to get closer to the outside of the cemetery. So I went to jump up on the wall, and the toe of my boot caught the top of the wall, and I was wearing a pair of Doc Martens, and it had that rubber sole, and it bounced my foot back and slammed my knee into the wall, and I flipped over. And on the other side of the wall was mud. So I kicked the wall, busted my knee, ripped my favorite pants, and went face first into mud. But my cigarette, I never lost. My hand was still up. And Jimmy said all he could see when I went over was my feet sticking up over the wall and my cigarette. At the time when that happened, Jonathan had just taken a drag of his cigarette. Well, it made him laugh. And this is the funny part. This is the bonus for this episode. Jonathan, if you're watching, I still laugh at this. He took a drag of a cigarette in. I went face first in the mud and never dropped my cigarette. And he started laughing, which in turn, when you laugh, when you take a drag of a cigarette in, it makes you cough. And so he's laughing and coughing at the same time. And all the pressure of the laughing and coughing made him fart. So, Jonathan, we're in the middle of the woods. We've got freaking demon werewolf things running all around us. And I eat mud. Jonathan's in the middle of the cemetery, laughing, coughing, and farting at the same time. So we're all laughing. The mood is ruined, and I can only guess what the demon werewolves were thinking.